Sometimes you look at a market that feels ancient, rooted in centuries of tradition, and you'd kind of expect it to be, well, pretty static.
Mm-hmm.
But scratch just beneath that surface, and you find these incredibly dynamic shifts happening, things driven by innovation, new uses, and companies strategically carving out new territory.
That's often where the real action is hidden, isn't it? In that collision of the old and the new. It reveals some fascinating opportunities and competitive dynamics you might not anticipate.
And that collision is exactly what we're unpacking today. We're taking a deep dive into the global betel nuts market.
Okay.
Our roadmap for this exploration is a market research report from Cognitive Market Research, CMR.
Right. So our mission here is to really dig into what this report tells us. The market's current state, where it's projected to go.
Yeah. Who the key players are.
Exactly. The key players already navigating this space, and crucially, what it actually takes to succeed in this evolving landscape, especially for, say, new companies looking to get in.
And get ready, because there's some surprising twists here. I mean, it's not just about traditional consumption anymore. This commodity is showing up in places you might not expect.
Let's unpack this then.
Okay, so for anyone maybe not deeply familiar, we're talking about betel nuts, which come from the areca palm. And historically, they hold this deep cultural and social significance, particularly across the Asia-Pacific region.
Exactly. Think ceremonial uses, social customs, a really long history in traditional medicine. The common way of consuming them has been chewing, often, with betel leaves and other spices. It's a practice with roots going back thousands of years.
But here's where that blend of tradition and modernity really kicks in, and it's a key point in this report. The source highlights a significant expansion into modern kind of functional applications.
Right.
We're seeing betel nut extracts or components used in things like health supplements, cosmetics, energy drinks, even chewing gum and dietary supplements.
And what's fascinating there is how the market is leveraging the active compounds found in the nuts, primarily alkaloids like orecoline. The report points to beliefs around their stimulant properties, claimed benefits like aiding digestion, improving mental alertness, boosting energy levels. It's really transitioning from purely cultural use to being perceived as a functional ingredient.
And that connects directly to bigger global trends, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That growing interest in traditional and, say, Ayurvedic medicine, and that broader shift we've all seen towards natural and opal-based wellness products.
Yeah.
The report nails these as major forces driving current market growth. Consumers are increasingly seeking out natural ingredients for, well, everything from oral hygiene to cognitive support.
Precisely. Betel nuts, with that blend of traditional history and, perceived functional benefits, are finding a whole new audience within that natural wellness space.
So let's talk scale. What are the numbers according to this CMR report? What's the market size?
Okay, the report estimates the global betel nuts market at USD 968.5 million in 2024.
Okay, almost $1 billion globally right now, and where's it headed?
It's projected to reach USD 1,793 million by 2032.
Wow, okay, nearly doubling in, less than a decade? That's pretty significant growth.
It really is.
What's the growth rate they're expecting to see each year?
The source puts the compound annual growth rate, CAGR, at a solid 8.00% over that period.
And 8% CAGR is definitely robust. So the key drivers for that kind of growth, as the report identifies them, it's that rising acceptance as a functional ingredient we just talked about, the increasing popularity of things like betel nut-based oral health supplements, that global shift towards natural wellness, and also increasing awareness and consumption in key emerging economies.
Right. And that growth projection naturally brings up the question, how do companies actually compete in this space? What does success look like according to this report?
Well, the report uses criteria like market share, sourcing practices, product innovation, geographical reach to evaluate companies. But the real insights are in the details of how market leaders seem to excel.
Yeah, if we look deeper, the source highlights several crucial factors. First and foremost, seems to be having strong, reliable supply chains. It's not just about getting the nuts. It's consistently procuring high-quality ones, ideally from established or increasingly sustainable regions.
So quality and reliability right from the source are non-negotiable then.
Absolutely. And tied directly to that is adherence to things like organic farming practices where possible, ensuring traceability, and maintaining really stringent quality control throughout the whole process. This builds trust, especially for those modern applications we mentioned.
Product differentiation sounds key as well. It's clearly moved beyond just trading the raw commodity.
Oh, it has. The report points to leaders offering value-added formulations, oral health products, energy boosters, cosmetic ingredients using betel nut extracts. Companies that can innovate beyond the basic nut form really stand out.
And validating those potential benefits. I imagine that's pretty critical for credibility in that functional space.
It is, yeah. Investment in research and development, R&D, to potentially validate those claimed health benefits. Digestion, cognitive function, oral care that really strengthens a company's position and builds that long-term trust.
And quality certifications, things like GMP, I assume those are essential.
Definitely. Compliance with international standards like GMP good manufacturing practices, that's vital for ensuring product safety and building brand credibility, particularly if you're playing in the health and wellness space.
What about actually getting these products to the consumers? Distribution.
Strategic partnerships are crucial there. Working with distributors and retailers, particularly in regions with those strong cultural ties to betel nut consumption, is essential for effective market penetration.
Makes sense.
And finally, offering a mix of both traditional product forms and these newer contemporary variations allows companies to cater to a much wider range of consumers.
Okay, so who are the companies currently operating prominently here? The report lists a group identified as top manufacturing companies.
Right.
These are GM Group, Surya Exim Trading, Biotan Pharma, and Shri Ganesh Prasad Traders.
Yep. The report lists those as key players, but it doesn't go into a huge amount of specific detail about their individual strategies beyond just, listing them.
Okay, but then the report introduces a really interesting section, the rise of companies it explicitly calls emerging companies, which are positioned to become substantial competitors to the established players. This is where you really see the dynamism of the market in action.
These are the companies the report discusses in more detail in its potential threats analysis, precisely because they are the ones strategically challenging the status quo. The companies highlighted are Marlene Traders Co, Ltd, Viet D.E.L.T.A Industrial Co, Ltd, Swastika International, RK Trading, and Maganlal Shivram & Company.
Okay, quite a list. Instead of maybe going through each one individually, let's try grouping them by the types of strategies the report says they're using to gain ground.
Yeah.
It feels like they fall into a few different camps showing different paths to success, right?
That's a great way to look at it, actually. One clear path highlighted is focusing intensely on premium quality and sourcing excellence. Marlene Traders Co, Ltd from Thailand is a prime example mentioned. The report says their focus is entirely on high-quality, premium-grade nuts sourced from the best suppliers. They emphasize ethical sourcing, international food safety standards, and a really robust supply chain to ensure consistent, top-tier product.
And you mentioned Maganlal Shivram.
Yes, Maganlal Shivram & Company from India also fits here. They've got a long history, a reputation for premium products, sourcing from the finest suppliers, and really focusing on processing and packaging to retain flavor and nutrients. They even cater to specific niche demands for specialty preparations.
So one approach is simply being the absolute best at getting and handling the core product, even if it's traditional. What's another strategy the report identifies among these emerging players?
Another significant one seems to be innovation in processing, adding value, and really embracing sustainability.
Right, the value add part.
Exactly. Viet D.E.L.T.A Industrial Co, Ltd from Vietnam is presented as a leader here. They're known for high-quality processed nuts, leveraging advanced processing techniques. They offer a diverse product range powders, mixes specifically catering to that growing demand for natural and organic products.
Interesting.
The report also notes their strong commitment to sustainable sourcing, eco-friendly production, high-quality packaging, and transparent labeling.
And Swastika International.
Swastika International from India also emphasizes integrating sustainable practices throughout their supply chain, from sourcing to packaging. That's alongside ensuring a consistent supply of fresh, high-quality nuts that meet global standards.
Okay, so it's not just about the raw nut anymore. It's what you do with it and how responsibly you do it. Is there a third distinct approach coming through?
Yes, there definitely is. There's a strategy focused squarely on cost-effectiveness and dominating specific wholesale or regional channels. RK Trading, another one from India, stands out here.
How so?
The report highlights their focus on providing cost-effective but still high-quality nuts. They've built strong relationships with reliable suppliers, they maintain quality standards, but their key value proposition seems to be affordability and consistency, particularly for wholesalers and value-conscious consumers.
So optimizing the supply chain for cost.
Exactly. A cost-effective, reliable supply chain. They seem strong in wholesale channels both regionally and internationally, especially, the report notes, in the MENA region.
That makes a lot of sense. Different market segments need different things. Somewhat premium, somewhat value-added innovation, and some just need reliable, affordable bulk supply. Seeing these different strategies laid out really shows how diverse the paths to competing actually are.
Precisely. These emerging companies aren't just competing head-on using the same old playbook. They're strategically leveraging innovation, refining operations for cost or quality advantages, and building strong relationships to carve out their own space and, frankly, challenge the established players.
Which brings us perfectly to what the report suggests for new companies looking to enter this market. Not just to survive, but to actually excel. The strategies of these emerging players really serve as practical examples for these guidelines, don't they?
They really do. The report strongly emphasizes product innovation and market segmentation. That means developing those value-added products we talked about, flavored nuts, powders, convenient, ready-to-consume formats.
Right.
Investing in technology for processing that maintains nutrition and flavor is key. And crucially, offering organic or sustainably sourced nuts, using innovative packaging, these things help new entrants differentiate themselves and appeal to specific consumer segments.
And geographic focus.
Yes, the report points to significant regional growth opportunities. New entrants should probably look towards emerging markets like Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and parts of Africa where that traditional cultural consumption is already a strong base, and importantly, demand is still growing.
And to succeed in those regions, establishing partnerships sounds completely non-negotiable based on what we've discussed.
It's presented as essential, yeah. Working closely with local suppliers and distributors in those target markets helps new companies gain crucial insights, tailor their offerings effectively, and ensure efficient distribution. It really accelerates their entry and expansion.
And that theme of sustainability keeps coming up. It seems critical for new entrants, too.
Absolutely. Adopting eco-friendly practices from responsible sourcing all the way to potentially using biodegradable packaging is becoming vital. Seeking certifications like organic or fair trade builds reputation, particularly with conscious consumers in developed markets, and it positions the brand responsibly for the long term. It's not just nice to have anymore.
So zooming back out after digging into this CMR report, the market numbers alone tell a pretty compelling story of rapid projected growth from just under $1 billion today to potentially over $1.7 billion by 2032.
That forecast paints a picture of a market that's really far from static. It's a genuinely dynamic space, fueled by both deep-seated tradition and these exciting new applications, with emerging companies actively shaking up the competitive landscape.
And for any company looking to thrive here, whether they're established or just starting out, the report really hammers home those critical factors for success. Innovating with products, strategically focusing on regional opportunities, building sustainability into their core practices, maintaining cost-effectiveness where it provides genuine value, and forging those strong local partnerships.
New entrants, in particular, really need to zero in on these areas. They've got to carve out their unique value proposition to capture a share of this rapidly expanding market.
It's definitely a market that proves even the most traditional commodities can be fertile ground for modern innovation and pretty significant growth.
Indeed it is.
So here's a final thought to leave you with based on all this. As the global market for betel nuts continues this rapid growth, fueled by both tradition and all these new applications, how will companies balance scaling up production and distribution effectively, with maintaining the quality, the ethical sourcing, and those sustainability standards that consumers and regulators are increasingly demanding? Something to consider.